Barry. The family was seemingly saved by the old man seen in an earlier episode. The rest of the DLC is almost like a training arc in a sense, as Mother works with the man and they survive the harsh nature of the island together. The rest of the DLC is then spent trying to survive. There are a few missions designed for scavenging more food and ammo, while the others use up their supplies. During these moments, Mary reflects on Barry and the old man. The old man is naturally quite stubborn, only willing to take her in as long as she pulls her weight. As for Barry, there are a few times when Margaret talks about it, such as when she had a dream that he was on his deathbed. It was enough of her to cry, so clear that she still loved him, even if she's already mad at him. After months apart, we get to the 6-month mark, which is when the Ouroboros monsters appear. This is yet another scavenging mission, and during this time they found a document of the islanders who were taken to the experiment, and the main star Irina was on the list. So the two go to the mines to find her, and Irina's notes were already a collectible in the base game, so you know how this plays out. And at this moment, they had changed Mario. He did not want to be like Irina. You likely imagine how Barry would feel if he was the old man in this situation. It's given him the job to completely survive in another pause. But she and the old man would act as split. You frequently hear him coughing during the game, but it's getting more pronounced as you press on. He's at the end of his life. He knows that he will die on this island. It is his home after all. He instead of leaving him to survive, he passes away in his care. She almost found that Moira's journey on her own until she found Barry's hiding palace, and that's just one such she got there. Even this, on the other hand, shows Natalia as being received by Buster Twitter. He gets a visit from a dark Natalia who's actually outcrossed his consciousness. The DLC is then been trying to find her lost girl, Lottie, who seemingly been on quite the adventure. It seems to be a ploy, as Dark Natalia was simply trying to break down Natalia so she could take her over. But that didn't happen, as Natalia took the fight of her other siblings. To get to where she ends up with the shoulder repair, you have to navigate through previous areas you visited in the main campaign without being spotted. Dark Natalia is the one who now uses the sensibility now, and that's about all you have. But Natalia doesn't even have a bridge to use it up. If you get smoked on with the talk, it's immediately game over. I have very little to say about these DLC, because there really isn't much to say. It's just combat or stealth through levels you've already gone through, against enemies you've already seen. Although story-wise it was nice to see DLC build in some gaps, and I appreciate the explanation for it again. These two did very little to hamper the quality of the game, but they do represent a growing problem with the franchise. More and more it seems like Resident Evil is straying away from the pack. It used to be a whole game that's become anything but in recent years. I tried to fix these issues with Revelations, but the thing is done means what's next. Many fans did enjoy these action-heavy games, but it's clear that the criticism was becoming more pronounced. Even if the games were meant to suck, after a while, fans and critics alike were starting to get better at this direction. The problem with the era feature of Part 1 is that after a while, I started looking back and struggling forward. I wanted to retain any semblance of glory it used to have, and in doing so, the series staggered. That led to this era filled with new outbreaks, new characters, new settings, and much more. And now we've run into another problem. The franchise has strayed too far from the past. It's lost lots of its identity when pushing this new format for the franchise. It's arguably become too much. Too many characters, too many settings, and too many outbreaks, with so many loose ends left untouched. The problem with the point level at Resident Evil is that for a game that's so large and expansive, the story feels so narrow. The same characters keep popping up time and again, like Chris or Lee. None of the side characters from this era even appear again in the franchise. We don't hear from Sheva, Ashley, Jake, Jessica, Parker, Keith, Link, O'Brien, Helena, even Sherry. Personally, I do think the game needs a few new characters. However, playing through this era has made me question if that should even be the case. Each of these characters could really support themselves in their own game, letting them become a prominent reoccurring character in this franchise. The games themselves have lots of questions left unanswered because they prefer to move on to the next thing rather than close what they made. They've also continued to stray away from horror, no matter how many times they try to inject it into the game. The franchise was going through an identity crisis. It looked itself in the mirror and can't even recall what it used to be. What was having now been replaced with what is. But in doing this, Resident Evil was able to conduct some introspection on itself. It thought long about how it used to be and what it became. Sometimes change is necessary, but it's also just as important to recognize when you've changed too much. So they decided to start over. They looked back at the origins of Resident Evil, from Sweet Home to RE1, to figure out what worked, and how they could reimagine these younger years under a new sky. And in doing so, it led us to getting the third and final era of Resident Evil. One that puts horror at the forefront, and one that reestablished Resident Evil as the king of survival horror again. But we'll talk about that in the next video. Thanks for watching. Thank you all for watching part 2 of the Resident Evil story retrospective. If you haven't watched part 1, I highly recommend you do if you enjoyed this part. And part 2 should be out soon, although I will be making a quick story explain video on Resident Evil 9 for those looking for a quick recap on the story. At which point we will release Resident Evil 7, 8, 9, and Remake 2, 3, 4. Either way, thank you for watching today. Like the video if you enjoy and subscribe if you're new. Feel free to donate to the Patreon if you want to show your support. As always, thinking about returning viewers to coming back to another video, if you'll take it, to continue to support the work I do. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.
Reloading!
Additional reinforcement funding approved.
Last reload!
Mission at 10 minutes remaining.
That's right, make step-by-step guides for every process with AI. You know what's when you start to...
Hello, and welcome to What is This Weapon? I'm Jonathan, and yes, it's another happy thing. I know we've got a few at this point, but there's very good reason for this one. Actually, I have a new article landing on my desk this week. I've been kind of recording. It will be with subscribers to the journal RX by now. Kind of an airing. It was volume 11 number 1, which is Spring Summer 2025, around 11.5. I am an associate editor for RX, so I have to see the interaction with things and have to edit and that sort of thing. I also occasionally publish articles in the journal myself, which are peer-reviewed, double peer-reviewed by other people. So, hopefully science. On this one is the largest article in this issue, got 19,000 words. I like to get paid for it. This is in regard to 100 decades research into the UK adoption, interest in adoption and procurement of the AR-15 rifle. And it is titled A Remarkable Weapon, which is definitely an AR-15 rifle. So, if you're interested in the super deep dive, I strongly recommend that you subscribe to Armour, the Journal of Contemporary Arms. It's sort of overlap with our own Royal Armoury's Journal, Arms and Armour, in terms of its features in contemporary firearms as well. But that's the focus of ours. So, the 19th century to present,
Democracy has landed.
That's the whole run that
Calling down a
tends
sentry.
to favour
Requesting sentry. Requesting air support.
We both have. But what I really wanted to do, having watched you do examples of UK adopted 201 generally, and
Ending in an eagle.
and to go with the more the most common one being the second one Holland with the original style side panel. That's not very good in the actual later story of what's with and after the armor
Requesting air support.
system is referred to referred to them as. As a way to time it to the article, but it's waiting when this one. So the article come out, I want to use the definitive of this article. in prior to the name basically being over. Doesn't come in for the next section.
Activating
The
jump
early
pack.
introduction,
New mag.
well, the story, like I said, goes back to 1960. For the very first demonstration of Colt Open in Europe, in a time in 1960, and they demonstrate in for more than one of these, being that they're going to be doing some stuff on their own. And that sparked some interest, but not right away. But another demonstration in 1961, and that's the other hero of our story, that's Major General Walter Walker, General Officer on the 17th Delta Division. Now, this is an advantage of the specific to private, shall we say, for a rifle officer. Walker is recognised as the offer now, basically of a super lightweight, high-tech, small caliber, high velocity, automatic rifle. I'm actually proposing this thing as a replacement for the SLR. So a project program should conclude a couple of years, hopefully, with an AR-15 or the two KRs, General Walker, when it's basically been done most of that back in 1961, because he was a big fan of the pace of that. Someone's not only 760 NATO rifle. Sometime in the 70s, I reckon that would have happened if we had a weapon. And that obviously didn't happen. Now, the quote that gives me my title comes from Walker, the opinion of the SAF, small arm still, not that rifle, administrative officer and instructor for the 2-2 caliber, the light conductor, very accurate.
5 minutes left. We can't stay this low much longer.
I thought of the conclusion was very lengthy report that you wrote, praising us going through for how that's getting those with some type of procurement, trying to influence them to go toward a government sector. So it would have been quite a radical change, and initially the requirement wasn't that. Now, there was a lot of the big groups, some of this is because this is a small caliber weapon, 6.56, 223. We refer to it there, and in fact, at this point they are not.
Calling down a sentry! Requesting sentry!
On the receiver, LTTP. And of course, while we're at it, post-flight, the options take
Status reinforcing!
trademark post-AR-15,
Throwing supply beacon!
and because that's it. That one never dies. The claim that AR-15 necessarily means semi-automatic, not. LTTP and the serial number, that's one of them, the 019, sorry, 019, that's basically 17, so 019-725. I will go into the contract dates and stuff in a bit, but we've got advocating for this, so some see caliber as too small, mechanically in that. Some see it as not partially damaging, not too far from the totally damaging, playing people really well. And this story is considered to be the expert. Look at that, we know, which is story, the American story, of course. The public standing to right with the US military across the board, and it's some of the same conclusion. We don't discover anything in our research. We don't discover anything that the Americans didn't already know, but found out in parallel a few months or years beforehand. But they are kind of the same shortcomings that other things already. So the bad group, the Americans, end up pursuing it with German Latin and then go to the adoption in case they're 14 with it in 1967. The Brits never did border around.
Dropping a pin. Southeast. 200 meters.
The other objection was, we often criticise the Americans for their history, not invented here somewhere. So there were already these plans afoot in the early 60s for, in some 10-15 years,
Additional reinforcement funding
a
approved.
British invented and made an This is referred to as the micro-personal
Request
anti-weapon.
approved. Reinforcements on the way.
I haven't come across this concept really, mentioned really, twinkle in the eye for a wicked future weapon for HSLR. Instead I would search for human features and we don't want this American country to be good, most agree with it's not the next generation. We want to, well, it's the next generation past, but it's the next generation we're looking at they get, you know, some future multi-bullet characters. They didn't know at this point. They were spitballing, if you like, and say some ideas for what they would take.
Calling down a sentry!
Requesting
sentry!
Small out of how they want to do. The ones that we now play small down for second. Quite a much internal in doing well.
Have a taste of democracy!
But in a much lighter weapon, round away part of much carried by ammo, stuff,
Whatever remains, destroyer departure imminent.
so they're interested in that tricks. Then Borneo, it's sort of officially known as Indonesia, Malaysia, confrontation of 1963 to 1966. And this is kicking off. So Indonesia is a really simplified Indonesia is fully rejected for the creation of the bomb state of Malaysia with the effects of interest. And so Malaya, which is at the time as the battle okay, and for Australia and New Zealand. Australia, 50 of these things, 14.5. That's the whole parallel story. Someone will follow on and parallel story. Ultimately, we end up with that followed on 16 with the later. The right entire America is doing that. At this point, it's UK, Australia, New Zealand, directly supporting the lower, which is there, Central Asia, and Indonesia, who are actually backed by the Soviet Union. So it is very much a bit of a Cold War over that's going on. There is one incident where the very first holidays in British
Tagging map.
it
East
is
Mark.
that's not like a couple of British shot in a contact in the jungle. And so, kind of particularly ironically, now the officer reports that finally things are going after it. By this point, they have been begging for an actual a jungle life. The first one they ended up in Japan, big capture from the same contact, they shoot back, they killed several Indonesian soldiers.
Activating jump pad.
I don't know where that one ended up, it would be great for historical history, so I prefer to say that that one's been preserved somewhere. So I want to kind of give you the game away in that this does get dropped
Injury? What injury?
To the
sky!
and it really standing out from General Benjamin Walker's position as a surfer to the officer, and as far as landfall, far out, but quiet. It's not just that, but people with a lot of misinformation out there in terms of the quantities killed, the numbers vary from 5,000 to 10,000. There's a rate recently, the kind of 10,000 is that seems to be fucked up in there, not the case. And I think the fact of security and learning. And the other thing is that, well, obviously, it was stuff before people.
This is Pelican 1. I have visual on the extraction zone.
So being very experienced,
This is Pelican 1, preparing for touchdown.
After everyone operating in their corner. And that does include the actual
Countdown initiated. Stand by for takeoff.
What the fuck?
Our heroes have fallen, but their bodies shall be replaced and their losses restored.
And that shows up actually in defect reports where those things are submitted as having broken service. One was submitted that I read about